What I want to talk to you guys today is something that I think that a lot of you could probably keep in the back of your mind as you're going through the week, doing your check-ins, things like that. Kind of, and am I doing, this, and this, and kind of like go down this list and say, hey, like, am I doing, XYZ kind of thing? And it'll kind of maybe give you a little bit of insight, to whereas why is your plan changing or is it not changing, right? So, looking at this is called the nutritional hierarchy of importance. Think of it as like a pyramid, right? Like the food pyramid, but it's the nutritional hierarchy of importance. So, obviously, when it comes to improving your health, whether that be losing fat, building muscle, maintaining the body that you have now to some degree, not all nutritional strategies are obviously going to carry, the same weight. Everybody's a little bit different in a lot of aspects, and one thing might not work for another. And trying to juggle every aspect of nutrition all at once can lead to, frustration and burnout. And this is why I tell everybody that comes onto the program knew that I don't want you to go from zero to 100 in the first like couple of days, right? Because it's going to lead to burnout. You're going to get frustrated. And I can't expect anybody who hasn't ever counted steps, tracked their food, worked out, done a check-in, anything in that capacity at all to week one hit the ground running and do everything perfect. It's just not it's normally not done. And if it is, either this is a very uh, either this maybe is a person who is performing on a very high clip and is very motivated to make a change, or it's going to be a very short-lived kind of thing because they're going to experience burnout, things of that nature. So, um, to accommodate this, understanding the nutritional hierarchy of importance can help you kind of prioritize your efforts daily. And here's a break. So here's going to be a breakdown of how these six key elements can help you, like navigate through your day and kind of like maybe not so much differentiate what's important and what's not important, but maybe categorize them as from least impactful to most impactful, if that makes sense. So, starting at the biggest one, it's going to be adherence and sustainability. No diet or a nutritional plan will work if you cannot stick to the plan. Just point blank. If you're not doing it, how do we know if it's working, right? My coach told me on day one that if I didn't follow the plan of the previous week, don't even bother, sending a check-in, because he just assumes when I send a check-in that I'm doing every single thing that I'm supposed to be doing all week. And in his first email, it legit said, if you did not follow everything, not necessarily to a T, but if you didn't follow everything, really just do not bother wasting my time, sending a check-in. I mean, because in reality, I do the same thing, and he would, you know, tell me the same thing as, "Hey, we just got to get back on plan, the best that we can." Now, obviously, if there's something that can be changed to help us, with adherence and sustainability, for sure, we'll change those things. But if you just point blanker, yeah, screw meal two, I'm gonna go get Chick-fil-A today. Like that's just blatantly just pushing the plan off to the side and just not giving the effort, right? Just try better next week. Just what it boils down to. Um, and obviously the best plan for you, and this is for any kind of diet in general, is one that's going to fit your lifestyle, your preferences, and your goals. And those strict, unsustainable approaches where you're cutting out entire food groups, keto, carnivore, things like that. Those things often lead to burnout and yo-yo dieting. You probably know somebody who's lost 40 pounds on keto and then they're 60 pounds heavier 6 months later, right? Did you really lose anything? No, you actually gained 20 pounds. So it indeed did not work because of adherence and sustainability. So why this matters, obviously, a consistency over time is going to yield results, as you all know this, not perfection for a very short burst of time. I would rather somebody go 80% for 10 to 12 months, then somebody give me 100% for 2 to 3 months. That long term consistency is gonna pay off. And how we can apply this is obviously choose an approach that feels manageable. Whether it's tracking macros, intuitive eating, intermittent fasting, things like that. Whatever that you can best adhere to, and you find enjoyable and you can sustain it, then that's what you should do. So number two on the list is going to be calories. So first was adherence, just straight sticking to the plan. You just have to stick to the plan, point blank, period. Now, if we look at calories, calories are obviously king when it comes to weight management, whether that's cutting, adding on size, whatever. That has to be looked at, and it's of pretty high importance. So obviously, eating in a caloric deficit is going to lead to weight loss, while eating in a surplus is going to lead, to weight gain, hopefully muscle gain, right? And then energy balance is going to be the foundation upon which all these other nutritional strategies rest. It doesn't matter if you do, keto, carnivore, intermittent fasting; they all play on the key role of caloric deficit. I don't care if you can cut out carbs. I don't care if you can cut out um, what on the keto, it's very, high protein, high fat. Keto is the no to low carb kind of thing. I don't care what you do, but you're going to have to be in a caloric deficit either way that you go about it. So, why this matters, again, no matter how clean that you eat or how healthy that you say that you eat, just the overconsumption of calories still and will can lead to weight gain. And an extreme deficit can slow that metabolism and hinder your performance. So we need to not go too high in calories, obviously, to gain weight, unwanted body fat. And we can't go too low either because you don't want to tank that metabolism out either. Both of those scenarios would not, give you the results that you're after. And how you can apply this is super easy. Just track your food, like with my Fitness Pal, chronometer, excuse me. Pretty basic and simple there. And then so if we go down to number three, you guys could probably guess this because underneath calories, calories are made up of macronutrients. You got your proteins, your fats, and your carbs. So once these caloric needs are set, you need to focus on the macronutrient, distribution. Of your daily caloric intake. Now I know I have stated in the past that fats and carbohydrate percentages don't matter when the total calories are met, and then when adequate protein is in place too. But if we're looking at like actual like physical improvement, like a physique athlete, or you're trying to get that ripped beach body, right? There needs to be some control over those percentages. So, obviously you got your protein. This is going to be essential for, muscle repair, growth, and satiety. You're always going to start here first when you're looking at, setting up your macronutrients. Anywhere from zero point 0.8 to 1.2, grams per pound of body weight. And if you're more on the, heavier set side of things, maybe set that goal to your lean body mass goal. So if you're 500 pounds and your, goal was, to get to like 300, maybe somewhere in there, and then set your protein at that goal. Don't set it to 500, because that's a ton of protein. That's a lot of protein. You will be full as a tick all day long, and you would not be able to eat that. I promise you. And then if you go down to fats, that should be your second one. Fats are obviously are going to be critical for hormone function and just overall health. Anywhere from 20 to 35% of that total caloric intake should come from fats. And you want to reduce the use of saturated fat and replace that with PUFA and MUFA. So PUFA is PUFA, and that's polyunsaturated fatty acids or fats. And then you got MUFA, which is MUFA, monounsaturated fatty acids or just fats. So you want to have, that 20 to 30%. The majority of those needs to be either PUFA or MUFA, just healthier fats, right? And then obviously carbs are going to be, what make up the last of those remaining calories. Just carbs are our primary energy source, especially for the ones who do, high intensity workouts, things like that. Why this, and kind of, why this matters in terms of what we're talking about. Like I said, in the past, as long as that calorie goal and your protein goal is met, the fats and the carbohydrate percentage doesn't matter as much. But once you get to that spot to where like, hey, like I now have like a physique goal to look a certain way outside of just I need to lose 50 pounds, right? Once you get to that point, then you should start transitioning, just having those fats and carbohydrates anywhere to a more set space, right? Kind of following the outline that I just laid out for you there. Um, and then so number four is going to be the food sources and micronutrients. So while your calories and your macros, are the foundation of what you're eating, those are the building blocks of your diet. The food quality in itself plays a pretty significant role. I don't think I have to tell you guys that. But you want to prioritize, nutrient dense foods to ensure that you're getting your essentials, vitamins and minerals. This is going to include, lean protein, whole grains, fruits, vegetables, healthy fats. That's kind of why I'm iffy about the whole like if it fits your macros approach because a lot of people they can do the if it fits your macro approach, but they don't consider in the micronutrient part. Because if somebody's doing an if it fits your macros kind of approach, they can probably fit um, a Coke and a sleeve of Oreos into their daily, intake, right, and be just fine. But if you was to instead eat something a little bit healthier, like a lean meat and like a vegetable or a fruit instead of those processed foods, right, your body composition is obviously going to be a lot better on the back end of that. Um, and then, so why this matters, obviously, micronutrient deficiencies can lead to fatigue, poor recovery, and just long-term health issues. So eating these nutrient-dense foods is just going to aid in keeping us healthy overall. And also, it's gonna, and this is why I'm a big fan of incorporating any kind of like fruit into a plan, especially like blueberries, things like that early in the morning to get them on your stomach, just because it's going to help with your gut microbial as well too. And this is a topic that I haven't dove into yet on Wednesday call. I don't think we would even have enough time to go over that, but pretty much. Like you have brain number one up here, but brain number two is in your stomach. And if your gut microbial is off, then you might as well just go play in traffic. I mean, because it's going to be a very tough time to get to where you want to be if that gut is just not healthy. You got to think that gut lining in your stomach is, I don't want to say this wrong, but one it's one cell layered, right? So if leaky gut syndrome, that lining inside of the gut is one cell in width, right? So if you think about it, how small a cell is, I mean, we can't even fathom how small that is, right? But if we're putting in Oreos and Cokes and fried foods and just all that kind of mess, that's obviously going to interfere with that, and this just wouldn't be a good idea, right? So you just got to keep that stuff in the back of your head if you are doing that, if it fits your macros style approach. And then, so number five is going to be nutrient and meal timing. And a lot of people think that meal timing is like that's the key to a lot of their issues, and it's so far down the list that it's not really that big of a deal. Um, Nutrient timing is less important than the factors above, but it can benefit specific goals. Obviously, like performance or like muscle building, things like that. Just for the average individual trying to lose weight or just get healthy, nutrient timing is not that big of a deal. But if we're looking at it from like a muscle or a performance building, like a power lifter, a strength athlete, things like that, it can definitely help. So like for your pre-workout meal, that's obviously going to provide energy, and increase performance. Where your post-workout meal is going to support that recovery and encourage muscle protein synthesis. And then, just the meal frequency in itself, just eating, every 3 to 4 hours is going to help regulate hunger, keep digestion from getting so backed up to where you're just constipated all the time, right? Just keeping things like a normal a routine like that and keeping things spaced out is, at the end of the day, probably what matters a heck of a lot more than actual like meal timing. Um, and so why this matters, while I said it's not essential for everybody, but for the really everybody on this call, honestly, athletes and pretty advanced trainees, it's going to benefit you from having, like a pre-workout and a post-workout meal, things like that. And now, how we can apply this is you can focus on your pre and your post workout meals, obviously. And if you're training hard enough, or if your food is, high enough, we could obviously add in like an intra workout shake as well too. Um, but don't stress over the meal timing if it's going to interfere with your adherence. So remember, if we're looking at this, hierarchy, of one through six, right, from the most important down to where we are now at the least important. If a lower item on this list violates the priority of the item higher up on the list, it's negligible when it comes to importance. So, for example, if you're eating 6 meals a day, thinking that it's best, but you're always having to miss the last meal, you violate number one, adherence, rule number two, calories, and then rule number three, macros. So, at the end of the day, if you're thinking that 6 meals is what's best for you and that's the best meal timing setup for you, but you're violating the first three, three rules of this hierarchy, then you probably need to rethink about the structure and the reasoning why the 6 meals, because you're obviously missing a whole meal, right? Um, and then the last thing is supplements. Now, supplements are going to be at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the hierarchy. It's the top of the pyramid, I guess that you could say. Like in the grand scheme of things. Because they fill in the gaps, right? Like protein powder, creatine, multivitamins. They are examples of like effective, evidence-based supplements that can help us. But no supplement can be or can replace a solid diet, right? I seen a thing on Threads the other day. It was obviously a rage bait post. Some guy who claims to be a personal trainer. He was like, if your coach is recommending you take supplements, you should fire them right away. The caveman didn't take supplements, and neither do you. And I'm like, all right, like with that knowledge, then you should probably sell your car, bud, and just walk everywhere, because times have changed. And obviously, he was trying to get a reaction out of people, and he had several thousand comments on it of people just bashing him. But again, engagement, and things like that. Um, but so like for example, a regular generic multivitamin, right? I take one. It's not going to be too helpful for a lot of people. It's probably not very helpful for me, but they're really cheap, and I see it as a catch-all, right? Um, I mean, if I'm a little low on a certain vitamin, mineral, whatever, and that multivitamin has it in it, as cheap as it is, if I don't need it, I'm gonna piss it out. Cool deal, like no harm, no foul. But it's more of like a catch-all. It's just what it is. It's just so cheap. Just say, hey, just why not just throw it in there, just to kind of be sure. Um, and lastly, why it matters. Supplements can obviously enhance your progress, but they are unnecessary. If your nutritional foundation is poor. Again, like if you're eating a sleeve of Oreos, and then you're trying to supplement with health supplements to keep you healthy. It's just pointless at that point, right? It's like you're putting a band-aid over a bullet hole. Like fix the problem first, get rid of the bad, nasty food, and quit trying to supplement with other supplements to keep you healthy. Like let's just start at the root cause, get you healthy, and you can eliminate that health supplement if that makes sense. Um, and obviously avoid relying on these things that like as like quick fixes, things like that. But they are a good tool to use in a pinch. Like if you're having to use like whey protein powder instead of like a whole meal because you're short on time or whatever. That's cool. That's to me that's when they're the most beneficial. But that was a long 4 pages. I typed that up yesterday. It took like 45 minutes to type that up, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to talk about all this in 30 minutes, but. Um, anyway, what I was at the end of the day, this nutritional hierarchy of importance, it should act as a guide on what you guys should focus your efforts on, on what truly matters, right? Start at the base, which is going to be that adherence, and your sustainability, and just work your way up, So whatever issue that you're having in your own diet plan, and obviously all of you are very good at like telling you what is going on in your plan and what's going wrong. But you can kind of like self audit yourself, saying, okay, like this isn't working. Let me take a step back. Why is this not working? Right? Is it too many meals? Is this too close to this? Is it whatever the case may be, and wherever that falls, you need to understand where it's at on the scale of importance, right? If at the end of the day this issue is causing you to not be adherent and stick to the plan, then it has to be fixed. Because again, at the end of the day, I can give any of you the perfect plan, but if you don't follow it, what's the point? Um, what's the point, right? That's why my coach just straight up tells you if you didn't do what you're supposed to do this week, don't bother my time. Don't waste your time on a check in. Just send me a text. Hey man, I messed up this week. I did X Y Z, but I'm going to fix it for next week. And then obviously send the check in. I can't be that blunt in this stage of my coaching career, but maybe one day. But again, just one of them things. So anyway, that's all I got as far as uh, stuff for you guys today. So I guess if anybody's got any questions, I'll try to answer them as good as I can. Anybody got any questions about this pyramid of hierarchy or any other questions at all? You're always my go-to guy, Jacob. I'm surprised that you didn't have a question, but it's all good. It's all good.
No, no, I don't. I would like to see a graphic though of this like hierarchy if you have one or
I don't. But if you think about it, it's like the food pyramid. How
yeah,
it's at the bottom, the base, and it gets wider.
right.
Just start from one. Adherence and sustainability is at
Yeah,
the bottom. Calories, macros. It just keeps building up. So that's basically what it is. So
yeah.
it's just a reminder of like, yeah, I didn't do my cardio this week, or yeah, I didn't go to the gym at all this week. All right, well, that's number one, adherence and sustainability. That's why that you're not getting results, right? Like you can kind of self audit yourself with this. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, anybody else? Chandler, Rian, Cody's and Ashley's out working out, I guess, and Caleb. Anybody got anything? Well, if not, we will end it, and I'm gonna jump on the check-ins that I have sent to me. I think everybody here sent me one. I think so. And then yeah, we'll rock and roll from there. And I hope you guys have a good Thanksgiving. Um, but yeah, outside of that, let me guys know if you got any questions with anything, and we'll go from there.
I do have one question outside of this.
Okay,
How
hang
old were you?